weird combination of sour and bitter. Actually, it still smells quite good.
It
smells
really
like
does.
lollipops.
These were our remaining few that we did manage to get into the crock pot before it boiled over.
This has more smell than this.
Really? Wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
That doesn't really smell like an extreme.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think burning it or even just cooking it kind of brought that smell
It actually smells very fruity.
Yeah,
like a candy fruit flavor, but like a fruit flavor still. Check this out. The sugar is about here. So that means we have 4 inches of solid, burned, cooked sugar full of lollipop sticks.
Look, it's a new sort of lollipop. It's
Oh,
the
yes.
sideways lollipop that gouges into your face.
Those will be very popular.
I regret everything.
It's interesting, you really can still taste like the fruit flavors of the lollipop mixed in with the burned flavor.
I was expecting a lot more of like a smoky burn flavor.
Yeah.
This is just bitter.
Well, I'm surprised that it did this. I have learned something about crock pots. From what I researched, it said that the low setting should be under 200 degrees, but I assume that even though we had the thick ceramic pot, it still had hot spots where right at the edges it was getting higher than that temperature, and the temperature that I looked up must have been the average inside temperature.
The ambient temperature.
Yeah, so we were getting burning, as you probably saw in the time lapse. It kind of foamed up, bubbling and burning on one side. A little bit on both sides, more on one side than the other. It just took over everything.
Yeah, and it was around the edges, so like you said, I assume that heat was much, much higher than expected.
This doesn't taste nearly as burnt.
Yep.
It's more efficient this way.
I don't think that word means what you think it means.
I don't think it means what you think it means.
Guys, that's not all. We've always got more for you to see. This box up here at the top will take you to our latest video. The box at the bottom is what YouTube thinks you should be watching next. And if you're not subscribed, don't forget to hit that bomb in the middle so you never miss out on the fun. Don't forget to ring that bell, and we'll see you in the next one. Talk to you then.
Hey guys, I'm Nate. Welcome back to the workshop. Today we've got another fun project for you. In the past we've had several experiments where we made molds of organic things and then cast them in candy. We've got one more of those that we want to try today. I have here a cooked red lobster tail. We're going to see if we can melt down some Swedish fish, cast it in that mold, and make a gummy red candied lobster tail. The first step is to build a box that we can pour our lobster tail mold in. There we go. We've got the walls of our box built from some Lego, but to make sure that they're completely watertight or silicone tight, let's just line the sides with tape a little bit. There we go. That looks pretty good, I think. One more step before we start prepping our silicone. We've had a couple of problems in the past with some of the things we're trying to mold floating up inside the silicone. So let's make a couple of small holes in the base of our Lego plate and then run some screws through the Lego plate into the lobster tail. Alright, I think that's done a pretty good job. Our lobster tail feels like it's fairly well in place. Now, of course, the screws sticking out the bottom have made it so it doesn't sit level. So let's just add a couple of feet on the bottom. They won't fit into plate on this plate, but let's use a few bricks, spread them out, and then we can set our mold on top of those bricks. There we go, that's sitting nice and level. Our next step is to mix up a good-sized batch of silicone that can completely cover this lobster tail. We've got some nice bright yellow catalyst here, and we need to mix it at a 10-to-1 ratio. So if we have 20 ounces of our silicone, then we need 2 ounces of our catalyst. There's 2, and let's just go a little bit more because we had a little over 20 ounces of our silicone. Looks kind of like a giant fried egg in there. Now we just get to stir all of our silicone and catalyst until it is nice and evenly mixed, and then we'll throw it in the vacuum chamber and pull out all of the bubbles. All right, let's start pulling a vacuum. it goes. Here we go. Alright, there we go. We've got our silicone poured. It's mostly bubble free. Now we just need to let our mold sit for a few hours until it's completely cured. Alright, our silicone mold has now had several hours to cure and it is nice and rigid. It started pushing the tape out on one side, but it didn't spill over anywhere, so I think we are good, and I think it's time to start pulling this mold apart and see how it turned out. Well, that's a good texture. You can see the little bits and edges of the lobster where it was basically in contact with the plate. Yeah, see, this is the annoying part, is the bricks come apart from each other, but then they're stuck to the tape on the sidewall. There we go. Lego brick walls are free. Trim off a little bit of extra spilled over silicone here and there. There we go. We've got our block mold. Now we just need to free the lobster tail from within. Oh, you can see the inside of some lobster tail in there. Just cracking parts of the shell. I have already accepted the fact that to get this out, we're probably going to have to break the lobster tail into a lot of pieces. But that's alright. We should still have our mold. Oh, that does not smell really great. It's a powerful fish smell. Oh, there we go. All these little pieces that angle down like that, those are what are really digging into the silicone. Pull them out. There we go. I think at this point we've got most of the lobster tail out of the mold. We had to cut parts of the mold open where there were long, reaching bits of the tail, but I think we've gotten all of it out, and at this point we just need to wash it to try and get rid of some of that day-old lobster smell. It's really not a pleasant smell at this point. Let's try and see how well we can wash this. There we go. I think we've got our mold pretty well cleaned out at this point. It doesn't have much in the way of a pour spout, so let's cut a couple of holes into the bottom of our mold that will let us pour our liquid candy down inside. There we have it. With our mold prepped, it's time to start melting down our Swedish fish into a liquid that we can pour down into our mold. There we go. We've got some Swedish fish in a saucepan. Let's add some heat to try and melt these things. These don't really seem to be liquefying the way I was expecting them to. Just being very stringy, like there's no puddle forming on the bottom. It's just kind of like melting plastic. I'll let it go for a little longer and see what happens. Alright, so Swedish fish apparently don't liquefy when you heat them up. They just turn into a gross, bubbly, burning gelatin.